Good morning, welcome to Friday. I hope everyone's had an amazing week and looking forward to the weekend, no doubt. And today I really wanted to share a little bit about speaking your truth and how to say the things that we really need to at times, even when we know that it could upset somebody or it could hurt somebody or it just scares us to actually speak our truth. And I know that this has been definitely a huge thing of mine, of being vulnerable. Hey Tuan, great to have you on here. Of being vulnerable and really opening up and having the courage to actually say what we need to when we actually need to. And it's definitely not an easy task. I think hey Lisa, great to have you on here, hun. It can definitely be one of those really challenging things when, we might feel a particular way or have something that's really bothered us, but we're actually not speaking up. And what I've actually found, particularly when working with clients with this, is that a lot of anxiety can generally build for people where they're pushing so much stuff down because of who they think that they actually need to be, whether that's in a particular relationship or just in life in general. And so they're suppressing all of this particular emotion, and what happens is it really builds up around the throat energy or definitely around the solar plexus energy. So it affects the digestive system, it affects our health and well-being when we're holding stuff back and we're actually not really pulling back the layers and getting really real and authentic with others. And it can be one of those super challenging things because not only are we holding back from ourselves, we're actually holding back from the other person, and unknowingly we can actually be hurting them because we've all got those BS meters. We all know when somebody has got something deeper going on with them, but they kind of gloss over and say, oh no, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's all good. You can actually feel that when you're really present with people. Hey Rick, great to have you on here. And hey Donna, great hi Kel. Wow, we've got lots of people jumping on, which is fantastic. So one of the challenges, of course, is people know when we're actually not being truthful with them, and we know within ourselves. So the first part really to this is actually getting really truthful and honest with yourself. And that can be hard because it's very, very confronting. Hey Marcella, and it can be so confronting when we actually do get real with ourselves and actually start to open up to some of those deeper life questions where we're not just playing at that surface level. I think as a society we do really well to really just, to flatline things and to keep things on an even keel because we don't want to rock the boat. We don't, there's so many paraphrases around that where it's like we don't want to be getting too far out of the normal, and that's exactly right, Tuan. So yeah, the fear is trying to fit in and trying to be normal because we're all hardwired as babies. Obviously, when we're born, we have that need to belong and to fit in and be loved for our pure survival. So again, it comes back to overriding the survival mind, which can be tricky at times. So we can all have those fears come up like, oh my God, I can't say that. Oh, what would they think of me? Or all of those things. And yet to not express the true, authentic self is such a disservice to your soul, but also a disservice to the other person. And Brene Brown does a wonderful job of describing this in her TED Talk of vulnerability, simply because it breaks down trust. So if somebody feels like something else is going on with you, but you're actually not opening up and talking about that, then there's a feeling of mistrust between you, and that can feel, you're not either trusting yourself or you're not trusting them to be able to hold that space for you as well. And again, it comes back to personal responsibility for taking that responsibility for our own reaction to whatever somebody else is saying. And the more that we can do that, and the more that we say, well, we are aware and take that responsibility for like, wow, that's really triggering some deep stuff in me, then that can be very helpful as well. Hey Jerry, so when we take full responsibility for our own level of fear or our own level of triggeredness within that, then that breaks through another layer of depth of understanding between you both. So this is where true vulnerability really can help to heal so many misunderstandings and so many misperceptions that we could be projecting onto somebody else. So thinking, oh, they're not going to understand, or they're going to judge me for saying that, where they might have had an experience in the past that triggered something very deep in them. So when there's a bridge of understanding where both parties are taking full responsibility for their feelings, hey Dave, it really can make a huge difference in opening up to those deeper truths and being really real and authentic. I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely not a surface level player. I can't stand, just those basic conversations, and it's not like that sounds a little bit judgmental saying that, I guess, but I really want to get to know somebody at the deeper level. It's not just about, oh, how's the weather and how's this and how's that. I want to understand what's going on in somebody's world, what's happening for them, where are they at, and when I open up and be vulnerable and share some of those things, that can be, it really can open the space for other people to step into that space as well. So, hey Jared, great to have you on here. So that can definitely make a huge difference. I know for myself, and I can even feel it just even talking about this, there is a level of anxiety there, and that's I think just our normal fear response, the normal survival mind coming up, and again wanting to fit in, wanting to belong, not wanting to be judged, which of course is just a fear and protection mechanism. But when we come back to our soul, when we come back to our heart and really are clear, number one, like I said before, it really is about being honest and truthful with yourself. So getting a list of really deep quality questions, and I actually did a blog post about this morning on Facebook. Are you really happy? It's a confronting question because it actually really makes us question how we're actually living our life at the moment, and most people don't want to know that. It's easier, definitely easier, but much less fulfilling to put the blinkers on and just to power on through. But in 5 or 10 years' time, are you going to wake up and go, oh my God, what have I done with my time? How am I living my life? Are you going to wake up with regrets because you didn't tune in to what is most important to you, and you weren't really honest with yourself and weren't honest with the people around you? And it is such a tricky one because, again, we're so hardwired as humans to fit in and belong, and the fear of not being accepted or the fear of other people being upset with us, particularly the closer that we are to somebody, the greater the fear, because we're getting a lot of our human needs met generally through those relationships. So there's generally a sense of certainty, there's a sense of either significance or feeling important and special to that person, or that person's important and special to you, as well as that love and connection and fitting in and belonging and being a part of something, whether that's a community, a family, or even a work organisation. And I think, this is very valid. Not so typical in my environment, simply because I'm a one-band entrepreneur, but definitely within a work situation is really, being able to stand up and say what you're thinking or say what your thoughts are. And depending on the culture, obviously, within that organisation, they may really support people contributing on that level, or there may be that feeling of, you shouldn't be speaking out of turn or things like that. So the more that we can challenge the status quo and be brave and courageous in our conversations and be authentic and real, I think people really feel that at a deep level and really appreciate that, because it opens the space for them to do the same. So I'll just read what you've written there, Tuan. So being vulnerable, and getting to know somebody, and definitely having that open mind. Not to judge, absolutely. I totally agree with that, because the survival mind is the thing that goes into judgment. So it's constantly either judging ourselves or judging others or judging the environment or the circumstance, because it's trying to figure out, is this going to harm me or help me? always looking for protection. It is a great tool to protect ourselves, but a terrible master. And so when we're allowing our survival mind to run the show, so it will jump in if you're feeling like you need to express yourself, or even, this is at a deeper level where you have an amazing inspirational idea come through and you're like, oh my God, that would be so cool. I want to share that with people. And so we can feel that inspiration flowing and the rise in energy, and then the survival mind jumps in. And it's like, oh no, you better not say that because that might upset this and this person, or that might upset this person, or it might do this. And so it's constantly trying to protect us, but it's not a great way to live our life. And when we're living our life through our survival mind, we will be in a constant state of fear and anxiety, and even a sense of depression, because we're not fulfilling our full purpose. We're not stepping into the fullness and the realness of who we are. And I think in today's society, people are becoming more and more aware and more awake of when people are pretending, when they're pretending that, either things are okay, or they're just not being real with themselves. They're trying to strive for something that they believe that they'll get something when they get there. It's the I'll be happy when syndrome. And I think, to be real and honest, I've definitely got caught up in that at times. And I think, we can all get caught up in that in times where it's like, yeah, if I just get enough of this done, or if I'm just financially successful enough, or if I'm just thin enough, or I'm this, and we can buy into all of society's illusions around what success truly means. And I think each person individually has their own model of what they truly believe that success is to them. And for me personally, it comes back to feeling really fulfilled inside. It's knowing I've worked on or expressed or done what's mattered most to me, and I can't know what that is unless I'm taking time out to really tune into myself, ask myself those poignant questions which really make me go to the depths of who I am, which make me challenge my life every single day in how I'm actually living, how I'm showing up, who I'm being, and what I'm conveying in my communication with others as well. So it can be definitely a confronting space to live in, like I've mentioned before, but the more that we actually do that, that is where that richness, that fulfillment, that depth, and that expansion of growing into and becoming all of who we can be. And I think, that's our role as humans. It's not necessarily getting the great car, the great boat, the great relationship and all of those. I think we can have all of that as well, but I think the deeper fulfillment really comes from the richness of, number one, knowing who you are, and number two, authentically communicating and expressing that with others, which then opens up that space for them to also do the same. And when we're coming from that leadership role and that leadership position, it really is stepping into and owning that at the deepest level within yourself. And we can only do that when we're constantly tuning in. And when I say constantly, that for me is daily. For other people, that might be weekly, but I definitely think, quarterly or yearly checking in, it's just not enough. We're so far off track by that point of how we're actually living our life or what we're actually going to. We've all heard the expression, there's nothing worse than climbing the ladder of success only to realize it's on the wrong building. And we want to be checking in and navigating daily, what's working well, when are we most feeling fulfilled and happy, what takes us off track, what brings us back on track, and then being able to communicate that honestly and deeply. Hey John, great to have you on here. Hey Michael. So when we're communicating at that deeper level, there is that richness. We know that we're aligned with the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, and that's not coming from a place of judgment. In terms of, sometimes your friendships might change, sometimes your relationships might change. Thank you, Tuan, for your comment there. I'm pleased that that's helpful for you. And it was one thing that I actually kind of just acknowledged within myself. It's like, okay, well, if there's something that needs to come out today, please just let it come out and be what is the message that needs to be heard today. So that's fantastic. And definitely, I always relate to whatever it is that I'm speaking about, taking that in at a deeper level for myself as well. So it's also getting real and honest with myself, which I have done already this morning, but continuing that process and showing up. And again, like I said, this might be within friendship groups, or it might be, your whole life can feel like it's being turned upside down, particularly when we really start to drop away the facades of, pretense of this is what I think that I should be doing, as opposed to what we're really yearning for deep inside, and getting really real and really honest with ourselves. Hey Peggy, great to have you on here, hun. Getting really real and really honest with ourselves in those moments. And sometimes there's a lot that needs to shift in our life because of that. If you're in a job that you really don't like, and I've certainly been there, where I was curled up in the fetal position crying, literally forcing myself to have a shower every morning before I went to a job that I did not enjoy, and that was a really tough time for me, because we can really lie to ourselves as well and tell ourselves that we haven't got a choice around that. That's just what we have to do, and that may be true for a certain period of time, but if we allow that to keep going on, then it's only our life. And that 5 to 10 years, like I said, could disappear very, very quickly. So what is it that you need to get real and honest about? What is it that you need to perhaps dismantle in your life, shake up and change? And like I said, it's not coming from a place of judgment in terms of it's bad or it's wrong. That's the survival mind that will do that, and I know it's played havoc with me in the past, definitely in perhaps some older friendships that weren't necessarily serving where I was wanting to step into or where I was wanting to move into. And that's not to say I don't love those people. I still love those people dearly. It's just, where am I most choosing? Where is the inspiration and the leadership going to come from in my life, and being very consciously aware of what I'm actually choosing to place in my life, as opposed to have it just show up randomly. Hey Mark, great to have you on here. As opposing to, just have it show up randomly and just kind of be accepting whatever's coming forward. And like I said, it's not coming from a place of judgment. It's coming from a place of getting really clear on what it is that you really do want, and being able to authentically express that with people around you. And it takes guts and courage, simply because we need to develop a strong sense of self, a strong sense of stability and confidence in who we're actually being. Thanks, Lise. That's great. I'm glad that's been helpful for you too, hun. That really strong sense of self and a strong sense of who we are, in able to have that stability, because of course when we're pulling down lots of foundations that may have been there for a long time, it feels totally uncertain. So as humans, we naturally gravitate to what feels most certain. We want to be comfortable, we want to feel secure, but it limits us in so many ways as well, because it doesn't allow us to really, jump off the cliff, so to speak, but in a great way, so that we can actually fly and soar and be the best version of ourselves. And I think it's so important to continue challenging the status quo. We all have those upper limit thermostats where we get to a level of comfortability where it's like, yep, okay, I'm within my bandwidth of my thermostat, and unless we're actually really challenging that next level for ourselves, that can leave us stagnant. And whilst it feels comfortable, I think we can all get bored with that, and not know that there's something more in ourselves, but perhaps we're not expressing that as well. So this is very confronting and challenging on lots of levels. However, in my experience, it's been what has been most rewarding. It has literally taken me from being, a single mum that was not earning very much money every single week, really struggling, to developing a stronger sense of self. But not only that, like obviously lots of external things have changed in my world in terms of my living conditions and how I can live life now, how I'm playing out. But most importantly, it's about who I've actually become in the process, and that is truly what I'm most proud of. And it still scares me, and it still scares me to grow, and I think that unless that's actually showing up, I'm not growing enough either. But it can be a fine balance between really pushing the limits and feeling everything's unstable, and then it's kind of like you've got to come back to ground zero to some degree to get that sense of balance again. But it's a learning curve, and the more that you know yourself at that deeper level through asking yourself those deeper questions, having that deeper awareness of who you are and what are the fundamental things that keep you stable or that help you feel stable, and for me all of that's internal, I don't get any stability from external things. I might try, but it's all an illusion, because all of that is given to change at any point. So if anybody's trying to get certainty through their relationships, through financial security, through, perhaps it's a good job, or through even, housing and things like that, all of that can change in a second. And when you have true stability and certainty built from within, all of that could shatter, or all of that could change, and fundamentally at a deep core level that you are going to be okay no matter what, and you can continue moving forward and rebuild and recreate. And it's kind of exciting. It's about taking those opportunities and flipping them on their head, where they could be some of the most devastating most devastating times in our lives, that we can really use as a blank canvas to recreate our lives. And I certainly felt that way when my marriage broke down and my mum passed away, and was going through a lot of turmoil. And it was like, right, if this was a blank canvas, what do I actually now choose to put on that canvas? And what am I going to really build my life from this point? What do I choose to make most important, and how do I now express that to the external world? And again, it's about building that confidence internally, and then being able to share that. And the more confident that you are within yourself, and the more self-belief and stability that you have, the less you'll be inclined to be swayed by negative comments from other people, which is just merely projections of their own fears or their own concerns for you or for themselves. Growth generally makes most people uncomfortable, because it challenges them. It's confronting, and it can trigger some of their own stuff around how they're living, how they're playing life, and how they're showing up as well. So the more that we can be stable in ourselves, take full responsibility for how we are, it enables us to express more authentically, more honestly to other people. And the more that you can really anchor in your own levels of self-love, and stepping into that leadership role where you're not depending on that from other people. And it was certainly one of my biggest challenges to grow through, and something that I continue to get confronted with, is that external versus internal validation. The more you can let go of needing that external validation, still be open and receptive to feedback, of course, but the less that you need that, the more secure you will actually feel within yourself as well. So I just want to read also what Tuan wrote. In the wrong place, it's okay, it's temporary. Absolutely. So nothing's permanent. At any point in time, we are given the power of choice. We can change anything in a heartbeat. It is just a decision. Tony Robbins often talks about this, and he says, people can say that, it took me years and years and years to come to this decision. No, it was just a moment for the decision to actually happen. It took you years and years and years of enough pain, enough thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to change this, to get you to that point, to truly decide, to truly step into. At any point, we are always in a position of choice, even if it feels like we're not. There's just limiting factors, and the more options that we give ourselves, the greater sense of freedom we'll feel, and the greater sense of, I think, also certainty that we do actually have some options there as well. So hope that's been helpful for you guys today. I am about to go and jump on a coach call, so have a brilliant rest of your Friday, and catch you guys next Friday. Bye for now.